Hello there, ladies, gentlemen and unicorns. Welcome to this week's stream, and if you enjoyed the little quiz in the beginning, thank you so much. I thought I start the stream a couple of seconds later so that you could read the correct answer. So yes, I hope you found this little thing joyful, because I thought I could do some JavaScript, because I haven't really tried something like this, like some self-running quiz. And look at that, within one night I got it to work, and within another night I even got the CSS kinda right. So I hope it was fun. Right now, as you've seen, it is non-interactive, but maybe I came up with 40 questions and they're in rotation now, but maybe I might expand upon this. So, muted? Am I muted? No, okay, good. Thank you, Cursey Boo. Good, so it was not me who's muted, because I'm getting for the first time I'm getting levels there, and I did a test where I could hear myself. The only thing that I can't hear is the music in the background, but it shouldn't be too loud anyway. It should just be something that it's not utter silence when I'm being puzzled over my own code. Right, so what's today's stream all about? Well, we probably or pretty much continue where we last went with the puzzle game. For those who are new to this stream, maybe you are, or if you're watching this on a VOD, I tried to come up with a puzzle game idea, and had what I found a quite neat idea in the first attempt, but then I realized that with the rule set that I had come up with, I painted myself into a corner where pretty much the entire game board was kinda deterministic. Well, not quite, but yeah, I mean, you could, if you have opened one or two clues, you could essentially just solve 90% of the board. So that was not a lot of fun. And then we switched gears, and I was dithering over whether to get started with hexagons, because I haven't coded anything with hexagons before, on a hexa grid essentially. And yeah, I took the plunge, and here we are. And I will also again try to relay the rules to you again, at least the ones that I remember from the last time. Oh, and also, by the way, since as you've probably noticed that I'm doing a lot of JavaScript now, not in this stream, but there's again is the automated unicorn in the chat. So there's a 5% chance that it might sparkle up your message, and it might get hungry. And if it gets hungry, you can feed it with a exclamation mark cookie. Let's see if this works. Yes, it works. Good. So I'm running the unicorn now locally, so that it, before that I had it running on Glitch. And because I wasn't a paying customer of Glitch, sometimes the page would just put my unicorn to hibernate, and then it wouldn't react to the chat or anything. So now it's running locally, so I don't have any excuses if it is not doing what it should. So yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. Never really did a lot with JavaScript, so the past weeks it has been some kind of a renaissance, programming renaissance for me with JavaScript. And by the way, if you're interested in my in this little pop quiz, is it a pop quiz? It's a quiz about things related to this channel, or gaming and game dev in general. So if you're interested in this, like I said, I coded this up in 2 nights. We can also go over the JavaScript code if that's more of interest to you. Right, then let me switch over to where we were the last time. And yes, it is good old GameMaker 2.0, GameMaker Studio. And I added a little bit to what I had in the last stream, so there might be some sort of gap. For one thing is, I made the tiles a lot bigger, and now as you can see, there's also some sort of mouse hovering going on, and when you click something or just click and drag, at least for now, this is how you open the tiles. By the way, there's numbers in the center. By the way, I can now zoom in because I tested this prior to the stream, and the numbers are just the IDs in the array they're stored in. So the problem that I had the last time was where everything was starting to look wonky when I was using weird amounts of weird rows, sizes and width row sizes and width. This doesn't make any sense. When I was working with odd, that's the word that I was looking for, odd or even numbered amounts of tiles across and down. And as it turned out, what we had before with the tile-based thing, things would start to fall apart entirely when everything was odd, right? When the numbers were odd. And I'm having the same thing here now when the numbers are even. Just let me show you, because right now it's I will run it again. Everything is now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or well, 7. I'm in the last row. By the way, the last row is omitting every other hexagon, just that it looks nicer. Essentially, this is what's happening. I can show you the omitted hexagons, but essentially this is where we're at right now. And yeah, I have to compile it again because I want to explain to you the rules, at least the rules that I think are currently what I want to implement, and then we will see if it's fun to play, and yeah, just go from there. So let me just take a screenshot from this that I can bring it over to Paint, MS Paint. Beautiful. That I can just draw over it so that you know what I think the rules are. Okay, so everything starts out, as we've seen before, as hidden, as all the tiles are not opened up, clicked open, however you want to call this. And let me pick here, what is a good color that is very readable on the stream? I think green, this dark green looks nice. And Cursey-Boo, by the way, thanks for saying that the quiz is very polished. Yeah, like I said, I had lots of fun and really took me a lot of persuasion towards myself not to start polishing the CSS as I was still implementing the JavaScript. So yeah, I'm happy with how it turned out. Right, by the way, I said unicorn, so whenever I say unicorn, let's just have something to drink. And let me also adjust the camera here a bit so that you can see the unicorn in the background. And also I've noticed that I have a tendency that I tilt towards my what is it, the left side? Yes, this is the left side from me. So yeah, if I'm like this, then I'm sorry that, yeah, this is, my posture is not the greatest. Right, rules. So everything starts out hidden. The only thing that you know is that things that aren't hidden or shouldn't be hidden are the blue ones. And the blue is a clue. So essentially the blue ones should tell you something about the surrounding hexagons. So what are information, or what is the kind of information that we want our clues to show? Well, there are two different, actually there can be three different things be hidden under each of those white hexagons. One thing is nothing hidden under it after all. It's like an empty tile that you would click open in Minesweeper. Or you have a bomb hidden. Let's make this kind of a bomb symbol here. I hope this makes sense. Or the other thing that could be hidden under there is some sort of a treasure chest. And this is how I'm trying to draw a treasure chest now with my mouse that is not really suited to that. And yeah, among the clues, well, each clue has, well, it's a hexagon, so it has 6 neighbors. And it just tells you how many among those neighbors are bombs and how many of those are treasure. Of course, you want to avoid the bombs and you want to collect the treasure. So, and because there's a slight overlap between those here, for example, those 2 tiles get shared between this clue and this clue, and so on and so forth, so that it should be manageable to work out, or at least work out the statistics of how likely you are to click something open that you want. Essentially, it's just another, well, it's not improved, a different level of Minesweeper, where it's not just bombs that you want to avoid, but also treasure that you want to collect. And I'm also still thinking about working with some sort of resources where, like, it costs 1 gold doubloon to open up a hexagon, for example, or things like that. But yeah, this will probably be later. I will be considering myself with that later, once I know that it's actually fun or working, what we have here. And blue is clue, says Frank. Exactly, this is why I made it blue, so that I, for myself, can remember that blue is a clue. And what rhymes with orange? Resource. Okay, yeah, and what I'm going to do today now is just trying to, for one thing, write an algorithm that just randomly distributes bombs and treasures, and then the clues should update accordingly, and then maybe we can even start doing some stuff like clicking open things, or whether we want it like it is in Minesweeper, where when you click open an empty field and all its neighbors don't have anything on them, everything clicks open. But no, this probably won't work, because when everything that is not housing a bomb or a treasure gets opened, then there probably wouldn't be much of a game. I'm not quite sure about this. This is all I'm saying. So yeah, let's just go ahead. I mean, this is a prototype after all, so it means things shouldn't be too optimized. It's more about trying things out and being able to change things easily later on. Righty. Okay, so the things, if just a quick refresher about how things are set up here in GameMaker for me. I'm using the GameMaker language, GML, so I'm not doing any kind of drag and drop actions. Everything is programming. And let me open up here what I have. I got some sprites. For now, I just only got this one sprite there of a hexagon, because we don't need any more. We got rooms. I got an init room where the initialization happens, and then we jump over to the room game. The room game looks like this. The only thing that we have here is this one instance of the object control board. The control board object is, I got like 3 different kinds of objects. So just to show you the object control board, well, what could this be? This is a singleton object that controls the board and the game and creates the board and so on, and stores the references to the individual tiles in an array. That's essentially it. Control init, yeah, this just initializes things, and when things are initialized, then it jumps to this room game. So once we know that everything was initialized, then this, I just move this up here. Can I move this up? No, it doesn't move up, because it's apparently sorted by alphabetically sorted. Anyway, and then we got the object tile. This is an object of the individual tile, and just to show you quickly what this individual tile object stores. It stores its information about its neighbors, what sprite to use, and so on, because as we've seen, there are different kinds of tiles. One that is a clue, another tile that is a resource, and everything is of the tile object. And once after it got created, and before the step event runs, or with the first step event it runs, the game essentially decides, or the tile itself decides, okay, am I a clue? Then I'm of color clue, blue. Am I type of resource? Then I'm of color resource. Am I of type debug, which is something that I also implemented, because sometimes you need to just color certain tiles that meet a certain criteria. Then pick a different color. So essentially the tile itself is sorting out what kind it is, because the type gets defined once it gets created. So I hope this makes sense, and this is essentially where we're going to start or keep continuing. Okay, so here with the board only has a create event, so this only runs once, and for now at least. And the only other events that are handled is when I'm hitting the escape key, the game ends. When I'm hitting the space key, the game resets, so that I can try different board configurations, or different board, not configurations. The configuration is essentially the same. The different, how the resources and the bombs are distributed. And the draw, this is essentially just for debugging. Right now it just draws a little blue circle where the mouse cursor is, so this is all not very interesting. And TechBox North is also here. Good evening, thank you so much for dropping by, TechBox North. And the automated unicorn didn't say anything, right? Oh, of course not, because it crashed. Oh my god. This, you know what, I will just quickly fix my bot, because yeah, this is not working too good. So yeah, this is my bot here on this. No, this is not the bot. The bot is on this side here. And the problem that I'm having with the thing is that it's just digesting the cookies too fast. But apparently I'm having a problem there with the is empty thing, and it's somewhere here in the queue, somewhere down below here. So you know what, I will just say that the cookies per step don't get, it's just 0.1 cookie per step that gets digested, and hopefully this should be enough to fix it. So the bot will probably greet you again when I restart it. So yeah, sorry for that. But then again, isn't it nice to be greeted by an automated unicorn? Error, no response from Twitch. Apparently I must have used some kind of rate limit, completely used it up. Anyway, so oh, Cursiboo fed the unicorn a cookie. So at least this works. Right. Okay, so again, let me quickly zoom in a bit here that you can read it. They're also on the WOD, or if you're not running this full screen, because I hate running things like that full screen. And thank you so much for giving the unicorn so many cookies. Okay, so the board tiles need to now make for uneven rows. No, we just define here if neither, or if either the rows or the width, the height or the width is uneven or is even. My god, I'm sorry, I'm messing things up already. So if there's an even number on either width or height, the game just exits and says only odd board tiles and odd board are allowed, essentially, yeah. Then what we do is just we pick the width and height of the sprites that we can distribute them, set the starting width and height there for, let's make this 100, just to see where on the screen the things start, like here in the upper left corner. This is good. So here we are creating our board, and this is how this works. So apparently I have here still a stub of something for the first tile of every other line. I needed this for something, so don't need it now. Then I used this variable here, bleep, which essentially just is a debugging flag that when I set it to true, then I just check if something is of type bleep, and then it's of tile type null or something, or of tile type debug or so, that just certain tiles get colored in. So yeah, what happens now is we just increase the tile X until the board tiles are greater or equal to the width of the board tiles. Then we just skip to the next row, and then of course, since it's hex, we need to offset every other tile on Y. This bleep is true, I don't need any more either. Then we create a tile at the current position that we are at, and we store this in array board. So the array board is an array where all the references to the individual tiles, are stored. The tiles themselves at this point don't know anything about their neighbors. Right? This is something that probably we will get to today, so that for each tile I can say, yeah, find your neighbors, or even ask the board control who or what your neighbors are. And at least in this current prototype, it's not so much about finding the overlapping, or what we had before with the square-based tiles was that it would wrap over horizontally and vertically, and this made things much more problematic, and there I don't need it. Techbox North asks, is this gonna be a strategy game? And I don't know yet. Essentially, I think it's a puzzle game for now. It's just some Minesweeper reloaded, I think, but again, I'm just prototyping and see what is fun and what could work or what does not work. But yeah, this at least this is where we are at right now, at this stage. So again, as I said, I'm just trying to find here, the blues are the clues, so those might be not clickable or something, or those when I start the game, those shouldn't be hidden. They should also already be revealed, and they should just tell you how many bombs and how many treasures are among its 6 neighbors. And from that you just work out which one is what, and you click open only the treasure and avoid the bombs. That's at least the idea for now. So the colon of the unicorn is at 0.4. This is good, so it's digesting some of your cookies. Thank you so much. Cool. Okay, so again, we're just with this instance, we're just telling the instance itself, hey, I'm tile number I, so and this corresponds to which index it is in the parent board array, just something that might be helpful then. Then, yeah, of course, we store its location, its coordinates within the grid, essentially, and store a reference to the owning board, just to be sure. And yeah, if bleep then is of tile type debug, I'm not using this right now, so let's comment this out. And here, if we are on the last line, then every other tile is of type null, and null tiles are just don't get rendered or not even considered in any of the other operations. Not doing resource spending to open blue clues, says Cursey and this is a good idea. This might be something that I could implement then. This is a nice idea. I thought we just everything opens up on a clue, but yeah, I mean, right, I mean, usually you would always spend resources to open clues, right? I would assume so. Maybe you could not use the middle one when pretty much all the surrounding tiles are referenced or get covered from the other clues, so this 24 might not be necessary for you to open. But yeah, I'm not sure. So this is just something that we have to find out. Right, so this is, yes, just this entire block here is, here I'm at 1.1. So this entire block here is just, hey, I'm just distributing the tiles and storing them in an array, and then it's over. Like I said, this is not something that is very optimized, because with the next step here, this other for loop again starts from the very top and goes through the array, but does different things. The first for loop was just there to create the tiles, and the next loop is to distribute the clues. And skip empty cells if tile is no one, then or if is type null, then we just skip it, and on every other row, on every other cell, we make it a clue. This is pretty much everything that happens here. And this is still some leftover code from when everything was square based. So this is finding the neighbors and so on and so forth. So what I would like to do now is that this finding out which are the neighbors of a given tile. This is already an architectural question. Should the tile object itself figure out who its neighbors are, or should the owning instance, the board control, tell each tile who its neighbors are, and the tile itself stores references to these neighbors, but otherwise doesn't know where exactly on the board they are. I mean, essentially, I think it should be best, at least for the prototype. For the prototype, I'm thinking not in terms of how optimized is something, but how easy to change something is, even if I want it to fundamentally change. And I think it might be easier to have something to change something when it's in this singleton in the board control than if there is it might be messier if each tile has to find the board control and then query the array found in the board control. Yeah, this already sounds a bit messy. So let's do this again as another iteration on this for loop, that we go through all the tiles again and just store the neighboring. I mean, we only need the neighbors for the clues, right? The other resources, if I bring this up again, we only need to store the neighbors for the blue ones, because it's not really important what the neighbors are of this 16 tile. At least this is where I am right now. And Ivansky Studios is here. At least my unicorn also said Alex Frera 96 is here. So if you're just lurking, I'm really sorry that the automated unicorn crashed again. Okay, so clearly I'm not good at this programming thing, so I'm really sorry. What can't read property is empty of undefined object ringer. Okay, something is undefined. This is not good. So yeah, I might have to retire the automatic unicorn for now, because I spent all my JavaScript time that I had this week with a quiz that you only see in the couple of minutes before the stream starts. So yeah, and the thing that should be entertaining you all the while the entire stream is happening is not working. This is not good. So I'll just take a screenshot there of the error message, because I'm not logging to files, because I never read log files. It's like sorting through, and it's like, yeah, the needle in the haystack. So this is why I hardly don't look at logs. So yeah, this is not good. So I'm really sorry that the unicorn is He's going to sleep for now. Yeah. Where was I? Right, we only need to store the neighbors of the clues. And this is good because we don't have any weird edge cases, because the clues are never on the fringes there where they don't have any neighbors. They're always in a position where they are guaranteed to have 6 neighboring tiles. Ivansky Studios says, LMAO, I watch your postmortems and love them. Oh, thank you so much. Didn't know you had a Twitch until now. First time viewing one of your streams. Yeah, welcome. Thank you so much for dropping by. Usually my streams aren't as involved as my postmortems, but I really appreciate it for you to drop by on one of my streams. And you know what? Crazy Boo says welcome and uses the unicorn emote, so I have to drink some water. So yeah, the unicorn was mentioned several times, so unicorn. Wonderful. Okay, now I'm full of water. So we distribute the clues, right? So find neighbors, or should we call it store neighbors? I will zoom in so that you can see it a bit better. I hope they're on the stream. Yes, I think this should work. I mean, it looks huge for me, but I think if it looks nice on the stream, then we're fine. So instead of find clues, I just say store or find neighbors of tile. So we go through the entire array again, and then we look at the board. So we skip the empty cells. This is good. And we also skip resource cells. I'm still referring to the white cells here as resources and the blue ones as clues, just so that I know what's going on. So I don't need this here. And we say if tile equals or tile type equals tile type resource. I don't need 2 brackets there. So if we got a resource, then continue, because yeah, we don't need this. And just to make sure, I mean at this point the only tiles that are left are of type a clue, but still I want to make sure if tile type equals tile type clue, just to be sure that it's really only run in that case. I mean, I could also use a switch statement for this, but what the hell, this is where we are right now. So for each clue then we have to find, I just remembered I don't have to come up with the algorithm of how to look at a tile's neighbors, because there already has been the hard work has been done for me, and I can find this in, if I recall it correctly. You know what, I don't recall it correctly. I just fill motion video YouTube. I have to look at the link in my latest stream because I posted it there, and there we go. This is weird, and yeah, no thanks. Red blob games, hex programming, hexagonal grids. This is what I want, because this is a super helpful resource for anything that has to do with working with hexagons. I mean, everything down to pathfinding and rounding to the nearest hex and so on and so forth. So yeah, this is pretty amazing stuff, so I don't have to start from scratch. So what I want is to find the neighbors. So the cube directions depends on what kind of coordinates I'm running. I'm not running the cube coordinates. I think I'm running the axial. Am I running the axial coordinates? I'm not quite sure which kind of coordinate system I'm running, because I think coordinate systems, there we go. I think I'm here at the even Q vertical layout. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, it must be the odd Q, but I'm not starting there. You know what? I'm not quite sure with how my layout looks like. Okay, so the first one goes up and then down. So this must be this even Q vertical layout. So in this layout, what did I use? Double coordinates, I think double height layout 0, 1. No, what I'm using is really just the simplest. It's just an array that's just numbered. So yeah, let's have a look at this again without my green drawings over it. So right now what we want, when we are here at index 8, we want to find the first neighbor, which I called, by the way, just to remind myself what types of neighbors, I'm using an enum here, and I've got a certain kind of naming convention. So the tile neighbors are north, northeast, southeast, south, southwest, northwest, and the size of the enum. And this is essentially the layout that I came up with. So I made here myself a nice little ASCII drawing just so that I know how to refer to this. So this is north, northeast, my god, north, south, no, this doesn't, southeast, and so on. You pretty much get it, what those ugly scrolls are supposed to mean. Oh, if I turn down the mouse speed, this is much easier now. South, west, and north, west. There we go. So essentially just to find the north one is the easiest, since the board width is 7 and 1 is, 1 to 8 is just 8 minus 7 is at 1. So I just, to get this, I just subtract the board width that we have, and we are there. So where is, I'm so zoomed in, sorry, I really have to find where we are. So if you are in the board tile clue, good. So then we store tile neighbors. So how did I store the neighbors of a tile? I don't remember. Tile neighbor. Neighbors is an array of the neighbor size. So yeah, we got six slots in this neighbors array. So I'm good. Neighbors. It's really just neighbors, not neighbors array or something. Tile neighbors. And then tile neighbor north equals, and we are here at I. So you know what, let's call this nay, just that it's more concise. Algebra, says Evensky Studis. Yeah, I hate algebra. It's really the bane of my existence apart from everything else that has to do with programming. No, it's really not that bad. I mean, it's just very basic calculus, and you're good most of the times. And unless you're doing weird multi-dimensional stuff, you're good with basic algebra. So nay1 is I minus, and what's the resource or the variable called again? Board tile x. No, this is board tiles width. Board tiles dubs. Because I'm using this here in a local variable so that I can do some checking. If, for example, yeah, let's do this. If nay is greater or equal to, or greater or equal to 0, only then we do this. Otherwise, else, shown debug message. Or is it show debug message? I'm not quite sure. Show debug message. Yeah, this is when you're coming from JavaScript. Then we show a debug message and say can't store neighbor of tile string I. So that just, it gets logged that there was a problem here. So at least good. At least that we made sure that this is somewhere logged at least. So the tile neighbor is board. I mean, we're right now in the control board anyway, so the array there is, what's it called? Board tiles, array board. That makes sense. Array board. Where is my mouse pointer? Really, I'm sorry for being zoomed in that much. Array board and nay. Nay. And right, I mean, we could at this point even make sure that it actually is a valid tile. So at this point we can say if neighboard. Why didn't anyone tell me neighboard? Did I really say neighboard? I need to open up another workspace where I only have here the tile object so that I can switch between those. Can I bring this to the other workspace, or do I really have to open it there? Okay, good. So can only be in one of those workspaces. Good to know. Right, so neighbors. Yeah, I'm not very consistent apparently. Neighbors. Good. Okay, so if tile neighbors n, we're already reading it from this location. If that equals to no one, then we got a problem. Can't store, we stored a neighbor, but apparently there's something wrong with it. So I just say something weird with neighbor of tile so and so. Good. I mean, actually we should have said north neighbor of this tile so and so, but yeah, let's say with n neighbor. Can store n neighbor of tile. This will help me as much as possible with debugging. I think who was it on Twitter of one of my dear patrons and followers? Was it InkDO21 or was it Ingvar who had this huge line of like thousands characters, just one line of code, and when you get error in line so and so, yeah, it's not very helpful. Okay. So this was, make a note here, n, just so that I know for myself that this block here pertains to just finding the northern neighbor. Okay, let's do the southern neighbor, which should be super easy because it's essentially the same thing, just instead of minus the width, I don't need this actually. 3 calculators. I got 3 calculators and Bandicam still open. Wonderful. So there we are. So 8 plus the width is 15. Right, this works. So essentially it's just plus the board tiles width. And the problem here is if neighbor is less or equal to is less than the entire board array length. Array board length. This is probably not working because this is JavaScript. I think it's in GameMaker. It's array length. There we go. Array length, array board. Because we want to make sure that we don't overshoot when we're adding things. Okay, is tile neighbor is array board plus neighbor. So we already defined this variable here. So you know what? I will just pull it up. How do I move a line up there? Was it Alt? Was it Shift? Was it Shift Alt? Yeah, let's do it. Copy paste then, so that I'm just having to initialize this variable once, that I just copy this over. So is less than the board array good, then the tile neighbor south equals board array. If tile neighbor south is no one, something weird happened with the south neighbor of tile so and so. Else can store south neighbor of tile. Good. Okay, so this should work. So we're already got, if you're looking at this, we got this one here, or instead of crossing it out, I just make a tick here, and the southern one we got. So now things get a bit more tricky, or do they? Yes, I think they do, because let's just go clockwise, right? So we got the first one here, we got the southernmost one because this was the easiest, so I'll just make this line here. So the next one is this one, 2. So what is 2 to 8? Well, it's pretty much as we had here with the northern one. Instead of, yeah, it's just the entire width, the number of tiles horizontally, plus 1. And then we get this northeastern thing here. So this is something that we also need to make sure, you know what, I will just paste it here. Between north and south, that also there in the code I'm going clockwise. So northeast. Neighbor is board tiles width minus 1. No, plus 1. Yeah, plus 1. This makes sense. So it's not necessary, but I'm putting this in brackets just to remind myself that what is going on here, or what is the important part. So since we're subtracting, I need to make sure that it's greater or equal to 0. And northeast, 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 northeast. So yeah, I'm duplicating a lot of code right now, but again, this is a prototype, so I'm not very concerned with that. Cool, so let's make a tick here. And next one is southeast. So how do we get to this? Again, okay, I can't do this. I can't do space and then move it around as I would in Photoshop. So again, as you can see, while the rows or the columns vertically, they're just very... this is not what I wanted to do. So yeah, the individual columns there are just vertically aligned, right? But the rows themselves just go in this zigzag fashion, right? 21 or 22 is above of 21, 23 is down of 20, 22 and so on. So everything is in this zigzag layout. And so this is essentially makes things much easier because we are here on 8. So the zigzag goes from this. So this is just the current position where we are plus 1. This is how we get to 9. This is super, super helpful and super simple. So this is northeast, north. And since we're adding something here, again, I have to make sure that I'm checking that we're not running out of the board array. So southeast, right? Southeast. So it is just I plus 1. But still we have to make sure again that we're not running out of something. Southeast, southeast, something weird with the southeast neighbor, can store. Good, safe. This was super simple and we already got south. So I make the tick here in orange. So southeast we got south, so southwest. How does this work? Again, it's this zigzag fashion, so it's just minus 1. This is super helpful. This is super helpful. And since I'm subtracting, I'm copying this here again. Southeast, south, paste, southwest. So it's I minus 1. Super simple. Everything else is looking good. Yes. South, west. So essentially, it's not a lot of code that I need to change there. Frank says you don't get very far in programming without any algebra at all. I think I've managed to get quite far so far, and I already noticed a mistake here. Look at this. Look at this. Good thing that I caught it. It's I minus 1. Sometimes this happens that I write 1 or I instead of 1, and my god, those are really not the friendliest errors to debug. Okay, so we also got this one here. So let's also make all the neighbors that we got by orange here. So the one that is still missing is this northwest. And again, the zigzag also goes on top of that. So I just get to what I have here with north and say minus 1 of north. And this is the furthest we go on this side. So yeah, I think, and this should pretty much be it about storing all the neighbors, or at least finding all the neighbors of something. So I call this northwest, and it's I minus the board width minus 1. Again, I'm putting this in brackets. Northwest, northwest, safe. Well, not duplicate the line. This happens so often that when I want to hit Control S to save something, I hit Control D and duplicate the line and get weird errors sometimes. So at this point, essentially everything should be done. So we're just iterating through it, and it says, if it's of type clue, then we store all the neighbors. And if there is a problem, then it will shout. So the only thing that is now of interest to us is we want to debug something like this. So I think this is what we could do in the draw event of the individual tile. I mean, right now, as you can see here, the tile just each time when I hit space and I want to move the view around like this, in Paint this doesn't work. In Paint, when you hit space, you draw. So I'm sorry for that. So yeah, right now what we're seeing is just the instance ID. So I want to keep this, and what I want to do now or next, just for debugging thing, is that it just draws the numbers of the neighbors in these positions. Doesn't have to be exact positions, just roughly, so that I know things are correct. Good. Crazy Boo says in the chat, or even Even Ski Studio says, in D, my math would like to tell your math can be done by the computer. Oh, is this the D, the programming language? I've never known anything about this apart from that it's one step ahead of C, I've been told. Crazy Boo says, I guess if clues are never on the boundary, it is okay. Yeah, if they are on the boundary, at least in this iteration, at least we get this warning that we can store neighbor of tile, so on, that something is weird with neighbor of tile, and so on and so forth. So at least we should get a warning. So if I run this now, let's have a closer look at the console here, and there should not be a warning. Let me move this aside. And there is no warning. This is good. So apparently, at least it has worked, but we can't see it right now. So what I want to do is just for the tile that I'm hovering over, if it has its neighbors defined, then it should just print all the numbers, all the index numbers in the array of the neighbors that it can find. And if not, it just omits them. And Crazy Boo says D-Lang is great though. So, or D as in my class grades, as Even Ski Studios. Yeah, I got a C, but it's the programming language. Right, where am I? Where am I? I'm in the board, so I want to head over to the tile, and they're in the draw event. So right now it says debug neighbor IDs, and this is if 1 equals 0. So apparently I had done this before, and pretty much anything that I can, we get here the top neighbor, the bottom neighbor. So this is still from when everything was square based and not hexes based. So let's debug this, and we only want to debug this when there is a mouse over happening. So if is open, if is mouse hover. So this, again, this is just a very crude implementation. If 1 equals 1 and is mouse hover. So good. So we set the font to the debug font small. We set the color to white. Would this work here? You know what? Let's set the debug color to something horrible like, I mean, what colors? I mean, it's black now. So this, yeah, why not go green? Why not go green? Just that it's of a different color. Oh, you know what? Let's pick orange. Orange, because so much rhymes with it. So get the current neighbor, and the tile neighbor is north, and we get not the tile ID. I'm not interested in the tile ID, but we're storing, once we're creating it, we're storing also the index of a given where the tile is referenced in the array in the board. And it says here, I is instance, owner board, tile ID. This is what I want. So we're just going to debug. Yeah, okay, so this is the tile ID. So for the neighbor, we just say x plus 24. No, x is x, but y is minus 24. So it's just over where we have. Frank says, I have to go soon, have a fun stream. Yeah, thank you so much for dropping by and spending some of your Sunday with me getting to grips with Game Maker. And Evensky Studio said, I personally only know GML by heart, starting to try C++. My god, C++ from GML. That's quite something. I mean, I'm slowly inching towards C++ by going first over to C# and then maybe C, and then I will have a look at C++. But Techbox North says, I have to go, but it was great to find you here on Twitch. See you again soon. Good night. Yeah, thank you so much for dropping by. Have a great night, because I would assume you're in the same time zone as me, and right now it's 5 minutes to 10 in the evening, and I will still be streaming for 2 hours or so, so it's not everyone's sleeping cycle. And Sharks Interactive says, hey, I made it. Thank you so much for dropping by, Sharks. Cheers. Right, where were we? Plotting numbers, tile IDs of the neighbors. Good, so current neighbor equals neighbors. Good, okay, so we got the north neighbor. Then let's have a look at this thing here. So next is northeast, so we're going to draw this halfway between. I mean, we got the north, that was, I mean, this is the center point. This is the center point of where the things are drawn. So for the north neighbor instance, I just subtracted 24 pixels, so this should be here. And for this neighbor, I need to add something to X and subtract something from Y, that we end up here. So I think I would say, let me just copy this over and just call this northeast, and draw the text X plus, let's say, how big is this? Let's go 24, and with here minus 30 or something. Well, then, you know what, just half it. Just half it, X plus 15 and Y minus 15, and let's see how bad this works. Okay, so this was northeast, then we do southeast, X plus 15 and Y plus 15, northeast and southeast. Then south should also be pretty easy. South is, yeah, just pick the south neighbor. X, we're staying on the same X, but we're adding 30. And now, yeah, those things are pretty straightforward. Southwest, so we're adding minus 15 and plus 15. Southwest, northwest, and then we're pretty much done. X is minus 15 and Y is also minus 15. Southwest. Good, but the one thing that I haven't done so far is checking whether those actual current neighbors do exist, because for most of those clues they won't exist, and then we will just have an error and the game crashes. So yeah. Shark says, is this just sort of a personal project, or are you aiming for a commercial release? Right, yeah, I'm not quite sure at this moment. I mean, right, everything starts out as a personal project. I mean, if it's fun and if it works, probably a commercial release. I mean, hey, if something is fun, I want to share it with the world. But I mean, right now, the entire code here is just prototyping, because I will do it, I mean, at least this is the plan right now. I will probably redo it entirely in Unity once I know that it is working and this is fun. But for prototyping, I just stay for now in GameMaker, because I'm so fast in GameMaker. And in Unity, I always have the feeling that I need to work out first how objects are talking to each other and how they are interacting and so on and so forth. And with GameMaker, I just fire and forget. Also, this music gives me Portal vibes. Oh, thank you so much. This was the music before. I think this was my track that was called Investigation, I think. This... My god, the track was very old. This was when I was inspired by CSI New York music, of all things. Okay, so let's fix this thing here that we only draw the text if the current neighbor exists. So if current neighbor equals not no one, only then. Only then. And yeah, good old copy pasting all over the place. But at least in this case, I've gotten quite fast. Also, I have to thank you for your ideas, which I stole, says the Sharks Interactive. I'm curious which ones. I'm quite liking having my drives named after characters instead of all being bland primary drive. Yeah, you're welcome. I always thought this is where you can show off your intellectual prowess by naming them after Greek poets, or as it was in my case, a Street Fighter 2 characters until I ran out of those. And for those who don't know, right now I've named my drives by chemical elements because apparently I'm super smart, or at least I want to come off as super smart. The fun thing is I don't need any more chemicals, because right now whenever I replace a hard drive, or a hard drive is full, I don't buy a new one and give it a different name of a different chemical. No, I just buy the next bigger hard drive, because technology progresses anyway. Then I just copy everything over, and then the next one is not called scandium 3, but it's scandium 5 or scandium 6. So I've been having scandium, potassium, helium and so on for years now. Okay, so save, and let's see what happens when I hover over something. And okay, there we go. Unable to find instance for object index 6. Beautiful. So this is exactly line 55, what I wanted to avoid. Line 55 is current neighbor get tile ID. So apparently it can't even get the tile ID, of course, because there is nothing there and you can't access it to get the tile ID. So problem, not the problem, yeah, the issue is that I'm already should do the checks before even trying to get the tile ID. Okay, so this is not good. Maybe we could store a dummy object that everything has a tile ID, but then we don't need this current neighbor anymore. But yeah, let's make things tidy. That's better. And Sharks Interactive also said Star Wars characters here. Oh, that's cool. Plenty of those. Chemical elements seemed super cool, but I wanted to be unique. Exactly. This is why you find something that's just very unique for you. In my case, chemical elements don't make any sense. Pretty much anything would have made more sense. Let's say My Little Pony characters. I don't know. But yeah, it's just, it has to be unique, and also you have to have enough of instances that you can choose from. Okay, so yeah, let's make this work. So the current neighbor, let's do this. The equals current neighbor. Okay, let's do this. If current neighbor is no one, is not no one, then current neighbor is current neighbor. Oh my god, I don't should be doing this tile ID. So yeah, I have to do a lot of copy pasting now. But I think this should work. So and Cursible redeemed unicorn. Then I have to have a sip of water. Thank you. Praise the unicorn. Divensky Studio said, cheers to code errors. Yeah. My god, if I had a sip of water every time I have a code error, my god, I would have drowned many times by now. Right, okay, so current neighbor, we just store the variable current neighbor, and we get what is at this position there in the array. And if, I mean, I hope there is something in the array. If it's not no one, so you know what, I might want to initialize the array and storing no one, which is a protected keyword in GameMaker. I want to just initialize all the array elements there with no one. Maybe I do this there before doing anything else, because then I know that it's always no one. So neighbors, and let's do this. Yeah, let's do this manually. Neighbors. Or no, you know what, let's do this programmatically. This is how I initialize arrays. So you always do it from the back to the front. If you want to be super performant, it doesn't have to be, but you know what, let's be better thorough. And let's make this here, let's call this default value is no one, in case I might want to change it later. And then I say I is neighbors or array length neighbors. Good, and then all I do is neighbors minus I. So now it's valid equals default value. Or you know what, we can do it. Do this while I is greater than 0, because once it's 0, I mean it gets decremented, then it's 0, so its neighbor's 0, then it writes the value, and then it hits this line, and now suddenly it's less than 0, while is greater or equal to 0, but then the other way around. While, no, what's the first? It's not a do while, it's a while I is greater than 0. No, this was the wrong key. Then we do this. Right. And I hope that this works. I really do. Should be greater than 0. I should be greater than 0, because yeah, it's here it's 0, and then it should not run now that it's 0, right? This makes sense. Cursiboo, it stops when I equals 0, right? But we're decrementing this, then it's 0, and then it's the default value because we're starting here. I think this should work. You know what? Should I debug this and have some sort of debug statement at this point? Yeah, why the hell not? So we start over again. This is just for debugging. The next thing, just call it debug, just that I know that this is correct. For var I equals 0, I less than it's this weird syntax, array length neighbors I++. Then I just say out stir is nothing, and out stir plus out stir is neighbors I plus a comma, and then of course it must be a string. We need to convert this to a string. By the way, this no one protected keyword is -4 if I'm not mistaken, so the entire thing should be -4s. And now that we got here message show, or was it show message out stir, and then we just say game quit. So it should just pop up a or was it quit game, game end, game exit, game end, what? It was game end, there we go. Evensky Studio said, learned recently that you compile using the YYC, the yo-yo compiler. You should use ++i as it won't redefine I for the loop. I don't think I'm using the compiler, the yo-yo compiler there. So if it's ++i, then I should start at -1 and equal minus the array length -1. Would this be correct? You know what? Let's find out and see how far this thing crashes. There we go. Out of range. -1 is out of range, so apparently not. I was trying to be overly clever. So abort joke. We start at 0, and then we do a pre-increment. Okay, but thanks for pointing this out. I didn't know that. So -4, and then we're at object type not set before reading it if tiles no one. Oh, this is a completely different point there. So outstir, why does it only show 1? My God, I'm having outstring. Maybe I'm doing this wrong. Maybe outstir equals outstir plus string plus comma. Maybe that was the problem. No, it just displays the first one, while I equals minus I think I was trying to be too clever there. My God, this is just one thing that really shouldn't be that big of a problem. Okay, let's start from the top. My default value I want is no one, and my I here is the array length of the neighbors. And while I is greater than 0, of course now it makes sense, the array length. No, okay, of course, it still does make sense. So I'm decrementing the I here, and then I'm just storing the default value there. And now here I'm starting at I equals 0, and while I is less than the array length of neighbors, you know what, I will do it the old way. Maybe that was the problem. And by the way, Ivensky also posted a link that says, here's a thread on it that explains it better than I can in the forums. Oh, thank you. Recently learned that if you compile, yeah, okay. You know what, I will just click this open then, and as always, keep the tab open that I have something to look at after the stream. Okay, so outster equals outster plus neighbors I, the string, what we find at neighbors I. It should work. It should work on my machine. Why isn't it working? It's -4 and then we crash. We crash hard. And I have always, sorry, I have to zoom out, otherwise my mouse pointer won't register in the right place. Really sorry that this might be making you seasick. Why is this not working? You know what? Show debug message I, and let's see if they're in the console, we at least see from 1 to 6 the numbers. No, it's just 0 and then nothing happens. Why doesn't it not happen? The array length, okay. My god, we're back there at basic. Well, not really at basic, the language, but at the basics. So, okay, please show me the length of the neighbors array. Down here. So it's 1. Okay, there is only 1 entry in this array. How and why? Why is this the problem? Okay, I move now up here to this neighbors and post my... Oh my god, it's the good old printf. Okay, here it should be 6, but tile neighbor size. Why is this 1? Already having a big problem here. So tile neighbor n equals 1 or 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So size of tile neighbors should actually be 6. But why is it not? Why is it not? I mean, it's a good thing that we caught it here, but I'm still not happy about this. Okay, what if I do this like so? If I just type a literal of 6 here. It still doesn't work. Am I doing things wrong? Am I actually initializing things wrong? And this is just the first entry that I'm storing into this array, because I have a feeling this is the entire thing, the entire problem that I'm having there. Okay, good old F1 times. Where is my browser? There we go. I really have to look at the basics. So array length, I want to declare our array I equals -1. The above code will loop through an array and set each entry to -1. So, you know what? Instead of using neighbors there and storing something in it, Cursiboo says, are you declaring neighbors equals x, where x equals tiles neighbors size? Yes, in this case, tile neighbors size, the size is, okay, the last value there in the enum, because in GameMaker an enum gets evaluated to an integer essentially. So if I start here with n equals 20 and so on, then northeast will be 21 and so on and so forth. And when I'm starting here with 0, and the size actually will be the number of elements in there, because we're starting with 0 without the size. This was my clever way of doing things. So apparently this is not how you do it. So but again, I'm not quite sure with GameMaker. Never quite sure how to initialize arrays the best thing. You are saying that the array has 6 as an entry. Right, exactly, this is the problem, that I'm just saying, okay, here's an array and the number 6 and not 8, hey, it's an array of length 6. So array length with this function, you know what, variable functions array, because I mean, this is what everyone tells you. Look at the reference first, right? Array. You don't type array with a Windows key. variable functions array resize array set. So I'm just clicking something that I get to the array page there. Variable functions, okay, so apparently variable array. Array create, I think this is what I've been looking at. Array create, size, and then the value. Good, okay, so this is where I went wrong. Good to know, good to know. Now, so where am I now? I've completely lost my place there. There we go, neighbors equals create array of tile neighbors size, and then it should work. Alt win key ray, R win key ray. Yes, 1, 2, 3. You can see it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, now it works at least up to this point there. But yeah, this is a different problem. Good. Okay, so this is good that we found out that this is the problem, so I can delete this entire block. But hey, this is good that this, at least I've settled this. So now the question is, in how many instances have I been doing this wrong? And Cursipu says array create lets you set the default value itself. Really, does it? Does it? Value, the value to initialize all array indices optional. Thank you so much. Thank you, Cursipu, for wasting my beautiful work that I have here. Just say no one. And I'm done with the initialization, which I've just deleted anyway, so. Okay, so where is the problem? Again, I think the problem is current neighbor, tile ID, unable to find instance of index -4 at draw line 63. So what is draw line 63? It is again, right, but the first one this here, this worked. Okay, this is good, so I can just essentially just copy the code over and do this. Right, so it's northeast. This is the only thing that I need to change. Northeast and then curly bracket. This one is southeast and add a curly bracket. This is south and add a curly bracket. Southwest, curly bracket, and northwest, and now it should run without a problem and everyone is happy because the code compiles without any problems forever and ever. Sounds dangerous. Ivensky says, if you want to be more complex, you can ignore the function and use exercise and having the array auto-resize itself. Yes, I could, but this is a prototype, so I'm not messing with this. And look at this. It kind of works. Kind of works. I mean, right now you can hardly see it, but it kind of works. I mean, the problem there is that my essentially the spacing is all wrong, but hey, it works, and this is the most important thing. So I will just define here, let's call it, by the way, I want also to set it where everything is drawn. By the way, right now, the origin of the text is also offset, as you can see here. So essentially the text, the center of the text is here, but apparently, I mean, it should be here, but apparently it is here. So the problem is that the text is not, that when you draw text, for example, the 25, the center is not here exactly in the center, but it depends on, I think it is here on the top left position. So I need to set this as well. And I say draw, set V align, vertical align is FA center. I think FA stands for font align, and the H align, no, the H align is center and the vertical align is middle. And with that, it should look a bit better. Look at this, it looks at least now symmetrical, but I got, yeah, it needs a bit more space actually. And for this, I create a new variable and I just call this unit, for lack of a better term, and unit equals 30, or in this case, let's say 50, and then I just say unit minus unit, or in this case just unit half. I think I just copy unit half over because this is what I need more often. So then I can just tweak this value. Unit, there we go. Unit half, unit half, unit half, and unit half. No. And Ivensky says, by default GMS draws text from top left as the center. Exactly, yeah. And once you change this anywhere in your code, all subsequent text will share this new alignment that you set. So if you want to make sure that something is always aligned as you define it, yeah, you always have to make sure that V-align and H-align, that you either store it and then put it back after you've made your changes, or you just make sure that every time you define it again anew. So look at this, it almost looks good, but apparently I messed up now that we're looking at the actual values, and I switched 18 and 20. So 20 must be on the other side and 18 on this side, but apparently from that 15, 16, 21, 23, 29, apparently everything works, and also I'm also not getting any errors when I'm trying to access something that is not there, which is good. That is good. That is actually, I would like to lift my coffee as a celebratory gesture, but I don't have any, so it's just water. Eventski Studio says, I wrote a script that I call at the end of the draw event to just set every draw function to default. Oh, this is good. So at least you can be sure that your text always aligns nicely in the end. Yeah, this is good, because sometimes also with alpha, if you change the entire draw alpha somewhere, or the color, it just, again, it stays until you change it again. So I always, when I draw something with alpha, I usually do it with draw sprite ext, that I can pass it individually in alpha value. Okay, so I don't like, by the way, I don't like the color of this orange thing, because it's hardly, you can hardly see it. So I just say C black. Let's try it again. And because this is a clue, yeah, it looks good. Looks good. I mean, it looks the same as the ID here, but this is, I think this is okay. It's just for debugging anyway. So yeah, let's make sure that actually the neighbors are the correct ones. So I have a hunch that it somewhere happens where in workspace 1 in my board controls. So, and the neighbors that are affected are northwest and northeast. So essentially I just switched them. Control board, find neighbors. So west, pal neighbors, W, width. So northeast is -1 and northwest is +1. I think this was the problem, right? Because I'm subtracting it from I. And wouldn't you know it, 4 is here, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 13, 19, 11. Beautiful, so this works. Nice, nice. I'm very happy with this, so I can disable it there in the draw function. If 0 equals 1, then it won't be run. Cool. Okay, so right, what's the next thing that we should do? I think we should distribute randomly bombs and treasure, right? I think this should be nice. So how do we do this? Do we store it, or should it just be yeah, I'm just thinking, sorry if I'm not really talkative while I'm mulling things over. What I'm currently thinking about is on a tile. Should a tile store just one occupant? And this could be either a bomb or a treasure, or could it also be bomb and treasure? No, it doesn't make any sense. And the other thing is, should it store where it's a bomb that hits you with like a damage of 5 or a damage of 1, or a treasure where you get suddenly 3 gold coins out of it, or just one? Or is it always just you found one treasure and it's always just counts as one? You know what, I just say I'm currently just going for one. It's either a bomb or a treasure. And I do this there in my tiles. So in the create event I got as you can see here, quite a number of different enums there. There's an enum for the tile neighbor. You know what, I just make this a part of that so that it should fold up. Yes, it does. Nice. So I got a tile type, a tile neighbor, a tile sign, which I'm not using at this point because this is from the earlier prototype, but yeah, let's keep it. And the clue type, which I also don't use. So at least for now, legacy. So I can make a new enum and I just say enum occupant type, and it's either a bomb or a treasure. Always like telling variable names. So, and the occupant type could be either or. So we start with an occupant type of, well, occupant type, it's none or empty, or yeah, occupant none. I think none. Let's go with none. None, bomb or treasure. And occupant equals occupant type none. Cool. Okay, so and now we should define occupants for something. And also what I want to do is to see they're drawn also for debugging purposes. So what I'm not doing is debug neighbor IDs, display tile IDs. I don't want to display the tile IDs for now. What I want to do is just to draw maybe, yeah, just maybe a number. Should we also do this number thing? No. If it's of type resource, draw set font, print value. I just set draw set font to, or you know what? I just say switch occupant, and if the case is occupant type bomb, then we print something in a certain color, and if it's of a treasure, we print it in a different color, just a T or a B, just so that we know. So I just say again, I will store here draw set v align, font align middle and center, h align, and of course it's not capital C. Good. Okay, so if it's of case bomb, then we draw set color to blue. Why am I making colons? Can you read this? Draw set, maybe if I'm not using my mouse too often, draw set color C blue, it's a bomb, and draw text at X and Y, and the text is a big B. Good, good. Is this the right sequence of parameters? Let me check it here. Draw text X, Y, and string. X, Y, and string. Good. Okay, so this works. Break or case occupant type treasure. Then we do the same thing but with a T in orange this time, because gold glistens orange. And yeah, default, we don't need a default, so I just leave it empty for now. Maybe I want something to do with it. And this gets only drawn if the tile type is of type resource, which also makes sense. And if I run it, I should see any problems. Good, so I can click things open, and this works. Cool. Okay, so this works without problems. Then let's just distribute, or just say there when we create something of resource, that's of resource, yeah, this is just for debugging. So if I random 2 equals 0, then it's of type bomb. If irandom equals 0, then occupant equals occupant type bomb. Just for debugging purposes. So where did I go wrong? Yeah, it was one curly bracket too much. Okay, so let's... Why don't I see anything there? If irandom equals 1, maybe that was a problem. Nope. Occupant type bomb. Okay, if tile type is resource, I don't think that the tiles are resources because the color of the resource is orange and I don't have any resources. Everything is with color default. So this, of course, this never gets run here. So I just need to say that every tile that I create is by definition or automatically of type resource, and then overwrite it with, yeah, just the middle ones, just the blue ones are of type clue. So I need to do this when I create things. Good to know. So Sharks Interactive, I'm feeling a headache coming on, so I'm gonna take a break for a while. Oh my god, please do. I mean, programming and headaches usually don't go well together. Have a great day and good luck with the game. Yeah, thank you so much, and be sure to drink enough water. This usually helps me with headaches. So yeah, just rest and water. And yeah, have a great week, and thank you so much for still watching a couple of minutes. Right, what was the plan? The plan was to distribute clues, if skip empty cells, right, and every other make a clue. So here when we create something, we just say instance tile type, tile sign, tile type, I think it was just type equals tile type resource. So everything should start as a resource. Apparently this is not working. Oh yeah, look at this. Now those are all bombs. And Mr. Julius is there. Thank you so much for dropping by. Thank you. It's great that you could make it half past, what is it, 9 in the UK right now. So okay, so the bombs there are distributed. So orange, all the orange fields are resources now, and all the blue ones are still clues. And we distributed some bombs here, and let's try the same thing with not just bombs, but what was the other thing? Clues. And we should make it orange, just make it white. The treasure. Where was I? There in the step event. Tile step. Am I in the right? Did I? I've lost it. Where am I now? If place meeting is, oh, of course I collapsed this thing here. Of course I couldn't find my way. Busy day, says Mr. Julius. I'm really glad that you could make it, and I'm really sorry that you couldn't witness the glorious unicorn because it's buggy and I had to put it to sleep. And Crazy Boo, is this a Dorito or is this a slice of pizza? It's a Doritos chip. Oh, now I want a slice of pizza. So let's just say var r is I random 2, and if r equals 1, it's a bomb. This is just for debugging. And if r equals 2, occupant, it's a treasure. So it should be equally, there should be equally 1/3 should be no clues, the other should be bombs, and the other should be treasures in theory. And look at this, I think this is roughly what it is. And the clues, those are the blue fields, they are unaffected by this. Okay, so this is good. This is good, and frankly I don't like that the resources are orange because, yeah, they look a bit like Dorito chips. Yeah, I make them white for now again. So default, just make them see. What is a default color that I know? Black. Just make it black so that I know that when something is of default, then it's black. And resource is C white. Is the white color, and if it's a treasure, just say C orange. Orange. There we go. Yeah, good. If I just drag this open, this looks good. This looks good. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is, and maybe I don't want the tiles themselves to figure out, or just to randomly decide whether to be a bomb or to house a bomb or a treasure. Instead, I want to do this at the stage of the board creation, so that I have a better way of controlling the distribution. And yeah, essentially just getting the big picture, because again, each tile only knows itself and maybe its neighbors. So again, I move this over there from here, this step event, and move it over to the board event itself. So first, again, I'm just iterating like multiple times through the same set. Of course, you could do the entire board creation at once, or maybe just use 2 passes. But like I said, for now, this is just a prototype, so I want to keep things as modular and easily changeable as possible. So I start here with first we create the entire board, and everything is of type resource. Then we go over it again and say, yeah, but on every other row, every other cell should be a clue. Okay, this is good. Then for all the clues, we find the neighboring tiles. We're just storing the IDs of those tiles. And maybe before that we iterate over the entire array again, and there we say distribute bombs and treasure. And I'm using the same algorithm as I've had before for this, but again, this might change because again, the ratio between bombs and treasure and so on, this is something I just want to get it to work now. And I used this beautiful piece of code here. So if R equals random, then tile occupant is of tile type bomb, and I think this should be it. So we've moved over this the decision whether it is a bomb or a treasure from the individual tiles to the board creation, and I'm creating new boards now by hitting space, and the distribution looks to be a bit weird, but I mean, hey, it works. It looks like it's working, which is good. Okay, so as for the clues, do I want to mark the clues with a C, or no? This would be overly busy. And algorithms, I used to think that algorithms are hardcore maths solving codes. Let me parse your sentence again. Algorithms, I used to think that algorithms are hardcore maths solving codes. Algorithms are solving code. Yeah, I think I know what you mean. I'm sorry, I'm all messed up, but algorithms are hardcore maths solving codes. Yeah, I think you could say that. I think you could. This is interesting. Right, so we got treasure and bombs. This is good. But now we want to... Good, once we've distributed this, you know what? And now we could tell the clues. We could either tell the clues here from the board control, from the singleton that's controlling the entire board. Hey, clue, I will tell you how many neighboring bombs and how many neighboring treasures you have. Or we could have those tiles figure it out themselves. I think for this it would make sense. So when the game board is already set and laid out, and all we do now is, if it's of a type clue, don't need this anymore, then the clue itself will look at all, it will go through the array of its neighbors and just count up how many bombs and how many treasures are among its neighbors. So let's do this. Let's call this var bomb count and treasure count. Just initializing this with 0. And then for I equals 0, I is less than the array length of the neighbors. I mean, I could write 6, but maybe I change again from hexagons to, let's say, pentagons or something, so it might change. I++, and right, so for each neighbor, var n equals neighbors I, and if n neighbor or occupant, I think this was it, occupant, is equal to, or we could switch on the occupant. I think this makes more sense. Switch n occupant case, what was it, occupant type bomb, then the bomb count ++. Break, something that I tend to forget, break, and of course case occupant type is of treasure, treasure count ++, break, and I don't need a default thing now. Why am I getting this error here? Of course there's no error now. And then we just print the number of bombs and treasure, right? Mr. Julius, I'm slow too. I didn't know that I used them for years because everyone presents algorithms as something really hard. I mean, algorithms in the end, it's, yeah, I think there's, especially in the media, algorithms are usually just framed as they are just this huge, big black boxes and you don't know what they're doing. The Google algorithm, the Facebook algorithm, the thing. The Facebook algorithm, now that I get it out of my mouth. But yeah, in the end, it's just x equals x plus 1 is an algorithm itself, so it's not too hard. I think on the other hand, I might be getting things entirely wrong. So okay, so if it's a resource, else it's a clue. So if it's a clue, right, then we just draw set. I'm just copying this over. Draw set font debug small, and the color is black, font align middle center. And yeah, then we just draw the number of bombs and the number of treasures, just one on top of the other. I think this is the easiest. So right, maybe I want to change the color as well as we had here, that blue and orange, using this. So if bomb count, did I call it bomb count? What did I use? Bomb count, yes, this makes sense. If bomb count, but of course this is a local variable. I need to make this global for the object at least. Bomb count equals 0 and treasure count equals 0. That it works. So if bomb count is greater than 0, otherwise we don't need to draw it. And if treasure count, not treasure type, treasure count greater than 0, then draw set font for the bombs to blue, for the treasures to orange. And then we just draw it at a given coordinate. So it's x minus, yeah, let's say minus 30. And then we just draw the number of bombs. So string bomb count and the treasure. Should the treasure be on top or all the bombs? Let's say the bombs, like I have it right now, plus 30, or you know what, we can do minus 20 and plus 20 so that it's not that far apart. And treasure count, and then we will see if that's actually correct. Oh, the Pink Panther subscribed at tier 2. Thank you so much. I lift my glass in your honor. Thank you so much. I don't have anything celebratory on my Stream Deck buttons, but maybe
a damn fine cup of coffee.
I wish I had damn good coffee. Thank you so much for your subscription. Okay, good. So let's have a look at this. So 4 bombs and 1 treasure is correct. 3 bombs and 2 treasure, 2 bombs and 2 treasure, 2 bombs and 1 treasure. Yeah, this looks like it's working. This looks to be utterly correct. Where am I here? 1 bomb, 2 treasures, 2 bombs and 4 treasure. Okay, so the only thing that's throwing me off at this point is now that the font is here, the smaller one, that I'm using a different font there. So debug small, it's a clue which, if debug neighbor IDs, did I set a different font there? Which font did I use? Font debug small, which is this font? Font debug small. Oh yeah, of course it's this, and the other is the big debug font that I just termed debug. So I just use it, font debug, I think this makes more sense. And for this, if it is I'm using font debug small. Good, good. And I drink mine in your honor, says the Pink Panther. Thank you so much. We're all having lots of beverages, apparently. And Evensky Studio says, every time you say, okay, good, it activates my Google Home. Oh, I'm so sorry. And this is why you should not have things that are voice controlled. I'm really sorry for that. I try to minimize my usage of said things, but I can't promise you anything. Okay, so this, did I say okay? The word? No. But nice. This looks like it is actually working. So there we only got a 4 because there are no bombs. But I'm refreshing. And look at this, it works, it works. So let's make it a game out of it. Xbox off. Wasn't this a Xbox presentation a couple of years back where there was this keynote and you could also stream it on your Xbox, and they demonstrated a new voice-controlled update, and whenever the presenter said something like Xbox switch to TV, the actual Xbox at your home would switch to TV and would switch off the stream and so on and so forth. My god, it was glorious. So okay, so now I could essentially, yeah, let's make it a game. So what do we need to make this a game? We need to have some sort of lives and maybe a game controller, but for now just stick it in the board control. So yeah, the create event, so I can distribute resources in a checkerboard fashion. I can delete all of this. I don't need this. So good. So this is all the create event. Everything is here happening in the create event. So minimum is 3 by 3. So what we could do is to do I will zoom in a bit. Maybe store this in a game control or something similar. Good, so that I know that it's not part of the board per se, but yeah, I already have this object there. So let's say HP equals, you start out with, let's say 7 HP, and when you or let's say 5, when you open a treasure it's +1, and when you open up a when you step on a bomb it's -1. Okay, for now this let's do this very very bad, I want to say, because this is a variable that's stored here. This property is stored in the board control, and the good thing is that each tile has a reference to the board control, and we can, I mean, you shouldn't do this scoping and everything, but we can write directly into this into this variable there, should we want to. Okay, so let's make this a game. So what we need to do in the board object is, again, this should be part of a game control then, but again, right now I'm just trying to see if things work. So create a new event that's on every step. If HP is less or equal or less or equal to 0, then show message game over, that we know it's a game over thingy. I mean, we could start to do something like messaging, that when a tile gets clicked with a bomb, it says, hey, my bomb just got clicked, do with it what you want, game. Or again, we could write directly into the game control, or in this case the board control. Or we could at least, there's some way between overreach, where essentially, yeah, an instance grabs a variable in its parent object and just changes it, because if this happens a couple of times at the same step, you have no idea what is happening when. The other thing is that it could set a flag in the parent object, which would also work. It could trigger a script, that it only needs to know the script, and the script itself is connected to the parent object. It could send off some sort of message object that gets consumed by the board object or the game control object. So we get a lot of options to us, and I think right now what it's going to be is again, do we want to separate HP from treasure, or each time you pick up a treasure, it says it's plus HP? You know what? Let's separate HP and treasure. So we start with 0 treasure and 5 HP. And if the HP drops to 0, it's game over, and then we start over again. Treasure equals 0. Good. Okay. So yeah, we shouldn't be doing this like how I'm doing things now, but yeah, let's just do this. So okay, if mouse do hover check, so if do open. Okay, so I have here something when the mouse is colliding with the object itself, and we do a mouse click, then we say, yeah, we want to open this tile. And if the tile is not open and we allow it to open, then we say is open true. But now I can again to do make this proper later, is that when we open something, that also the tile can check, yeah, is it a bomb? If so, then we modify the treasure variable in the parent object. So if occupant is of, or again, we can do this as a switch statement. Switch occupant case occupant type bomb, and then we just say parent, or I think it was owner. This is the board control, and there I just say HP minus minus, and that's it. My god, wonderful programming going on here. Case occupant type treasure. Treasure equals owner treasure plus plus. So we can make 5 mistakes and try to get all the treasure, right? Good. What is the problem here? Unassigned variable reference. So it's not owner, it's occupant, it's owner board. Okay, so it's not the owner, but it's the owner board. Thank you. Okay, and of course we want to see it somewhere, how many lives and how many treasures we have. Again, I'm just doing this there in the board, where I'm just saying I'm creating a draw event in the board. Already have one here. And I just say draw set font, just give it the big font, FNT debug, draw set color red. I'm just making the HP red, see red, and draw text. Where do we want to draw it? On screen. Or maybe we should do this in the GUI event, but yeah, let's do this in the GUI. No, you know what? It doesn't matter. So let's head over text. Let's say 1000 to the left and 20 from the top. And we just print HP colon string HP. Good. And then we just change the font and go down by 20 and say treasure. And the font is orange or yellow. No, let's keep it at orange. And the string, of course, is not HP, it's treasure. And now we only need to hide, of course, the values that you already have. Let's try to run this. So when I click something open, it works. And if it's a treasure, it increases here our T. And if it's our bomb, then the HP gets reduced until it's game over. And it stays at game over because nothing happens there. So when it says game over, after I click OK, then I say room restart. At least this is the intention of this. So when I click all the bombs, it's game over and the room restarts and I can try it again. And if something is already open, okay, it's a good thing that I can't click it again open. So, okay, at this point we're already having almost some sort of a game, right? How does this look? I mean, game over. So, the clues, again, now we can define if I also need to open the clues and spend for each clue a treasure point. You know what, let's not do it that way. Let's just say that all the clues are revealed. Let's say clues or step when I'm creating, there is a tile. So tile, step. So when something is there, when I'm initializing something and it's of type clue, then it's already open. What is my code for something that is already opened? Is open and is locked. So again, I will just say is open true. Just make it there on top. Is open true and is locked also true, that we can't click it or anything. So now, I mean, I can click it, but nothing happens and it's already revealed what is there. So I mean, there I can click everything open, but it doesn't give me anything else to work with. So far, okay, good. So this works. Right, now the only thing that I need to do now is to hide something. So if the occupant, if it's of type resource, we switch the occupant and we only show the occupant when the tile is open. So if is open, then we show what is underneath. And with that, it should be some sort of minesweepery game. I hope, my god, took us quite long, I think, but yeah. Okay, so we got here 4 bombs, so I don't know which one. Okay, this one was a bomb. And I mean, this was a treasure, this is good. So I'm not clicking anything among those here because I already got treasure here. And for a fact, I know that I don't need this. You know what I could do? I could right click something, and when I right click something, I mark it as, I flag it. Essentially, I just lock it so that I know that I've marked something there, but I don't, I can't click it open again or something. Maybe I should do this and say is flagged false, and I just add here color flag equals C black or something. So there we go. If mouse hover, if mouse click button left, then to open. If mouse check button, mouse button right, at least for now, then we toggle and say is flagged equals not is flagged. This is, I think, one of my favorite ways to spell out something. There's one thing missing. And each time something is flagged, we check here every frame the color is initial color. But if mouse is hovering, then we change the color, or there in the draw event, if mouse is hovering, but the last one overrides everything, and we say if is flagged, color is color flag. And when something is flagged, I don't allow opening. and if is open and allow opening and is not flagged, then we allow it to open. Good, let's try this. I'm just toggling something. Okay, of course, when I'm holding the mouse down, it's flickering, so this is not good. Only when mouse check up, or what's the syntax? Mouse check button pressed. Yeah, let's go with mouse check button pressed. Otherwise I could just hold and drag. Pressed, thank you. So this is flagged, and now when it's flagged I can click it open, and then I can click it open again. This is good, okay. So then let's open all these here, because there are 2 treasures, but now that things that are open I can still lock. Maybe I don't want to lock something that is already open, or I don't want to flag something that is already open. Let's say if not is open, then it's flagged. Oh my god, so many cascading if statements. So I open something and now I can't flag it. Good. Already looks promising. Thank you so much, Mr. Julius. I mean, it's super ugly, but yeah, maybe there is some fun to be held with this game. Okay, so let's you know what? Let's start here for real. Okay, here I know there are 4 bombs among this thing. So I don't want, since those don't have any neighbors, I don't want to be able to click them open. So maybe there are bombs down there, I'm not quite sure, but yeah, I'm not testing my luck. Okay, there is 1 bomb and 5 treasure. Okay, so I think I can just pick the 5 treasure, and either one of those is a bomb. Okay, there are 2 treasures and 3 bombs. Yeah, not testing my luck. There are 3 treasures and 1 bomb. Not quite sure what to do. 3 and 1, 3 and 3. Okay, I need to take a leap of faith, so I will just click this one open, and this one is empty. Okay, this one was a bomb, but it's only 1 bomb, so I can click open the rest. This is good. And 1, 2, and the rest must be bombs, so I don't care about those. This was the 1 bomb, so this is a treasure. Okay, so I think I've got the kernel of a game here. So this is a treasure, since this must also be a treasure. And yeah, 2, and I mean they are just bombs, so I'm not interested in any of those actually. So there are 2 bombs, and probably 1 was there. I'm not quite sure where the other is, but since there are 3 here, it might be here. Just clicking this one open and clicking this one, and it was a treasure. Good. So I got already, maybe this is also treasure. No, this was the bomb. Okay, good. 11 treasure and still 3 HP. And Mr. Julius says, I would love to play it. Oh, really? You know what we could try the next time is if you want to spend treasure on opening up clues once I'm finished with this board. Okay, so 3. You know what would also make sense or would help a little bit? If you hover over a clue, then all its neighbors would just be highlighted, so that it's easy for you as a player just to see what actually is affected by this. Do you know what I mean? Would this make sense? Or would this help? Yeah, I'm not quite sure about this, but yeah, for now it's good. So we got 3 bombs here. And there's already 1. We got 3 treasure, and this must be the other bomb. So there is either one of there is a bomb. Maybe I need to have different ways of locking something, where I can say question mark bomb or question mark treasure or something, where I can just toggle essentially the flag state there. Okay, 3 treasures, 2 bombs. Just hitting this one. Okay, this helped us. 1, 2, 3. So this must be the treasure. Good. Okay, so 2 bombs, 2 treasures. So those must be the 2 bombs then. Those 2. So I think it's 1, 2. Okay, this was a bomb, and yeah, this was a treasure. Of course, yeah, it doesn't have to be those 2, because it's only 4, not 6. Okay, so I'm down to my last 1 HP, and I still got a bit of the board to solve. So there is 1 bomb and 3 treasures, and there are 2 bombs. So maybe the other bomb is here. Yeah, you know what I'm going for. Okay, so yeah, this was not it. Okay, but you can see how this is going to be played, right? Okay, what next to do? should we implement that that we want to highlight all the neighbors, that when a clue is open, all the neighbors get highlighted or something? Would this be interesting? That I think this would help me at least to know, okay, I'm just have to look at these surroundings there. You know what, let's try this. And because I don't need the yellow thing, that this is always everything is yellow when I'm hovering with the mouse over it, because it makes sense where my mouse is hovering over. So I'm not doing the mouse hover color. I mean, I want to keep the option that when my mouse is hovering, maybe I just use some sort of an outline or something over the tile in question. But what I want is that all the neighbors get highlighted. And to do this, oh my god, this is a bit tricky. Mr. Julius says, how about changing number on clue tile? For example, you clicked on the treasure and the orange text changes to -1. Oh, you mean that the clues update once you collect a treasure? Do you mean this? Because maybe this is something that I did in my Finesweeper game, that the clues would update if you detonate a bomb, and some people thought that the game was lying or not telling them the truth because the clue had updated and they didn't know that the clue had updated. You know what? Let's make this optional. Let's say auto update clue. Auto update clue equals true. So once you click something, and if do open, and when you open something, you auto update the neighboring clues. Okay, if auto update clue. So then we need to find out, okay, this is a bit tricky because we need to find out which clues does this thing belong to. Let's look at this again. So there could be, I mean, this tile here is part of this ring, and is it also part of this ring? So you always at maximum have 2 neighboring clues for any given tile. So you need essentially, I mean, maybe I want to change it and there would be more overlap between clues, and maybe I could do this. So I'm not going to hard code it, but I will just say that when something is a clue and it finds out who its neighbors are, it will start a two-way connection between them. For one thing is the clue knows who its neighbors are, but also it will tell each neighbor, hey, I'm one of your clues essentially. So and then in this case, this tile here would store, okay, when it's being created or indexed as a neighbor from this clue, it would also tell this, hey, I'm a clue you're related to. But then once this is done, the same thing here happens with this clue. It would also say to this tile, hey, you also belong to me. So then once we click something and it's let's say a treasure, then it notifies both clues that are part of it, of its neighbors. Hey, I just got clicked, I just got updated, I need to you need to count again, essentially. I think this is what makes the most sense, I hope. Okay, so how to store this? So again, I'm only having one object, so this needs to store the values for both that are only relevant for clues. So yeah, I'm just throwing everything in here. So I create a new array, or you know what, I create a new list, because I can add to this list. So I just say clues, or just clues list, so that I know it's a list, equals new data structure, not cd, ds data structure, or ds create list. What was it? ds list create. There we go. So this is a list of all the clues. Right. Good. Okay, so when the tiles do open, I'm just thinking of the correct approach where to put this. So here, when the board gets created, and we distribute the bombs and define the neighbors of a tile. So then we say the tile show message tile neighbor equals board. Okay, then we say to this tile, maybe, you know what, let's say this tile equals, and this tile, because I will need it. Now this tile is, no, wait a second. I've been going too fast for my own good. And Jerzy Jezek is also there. Hello there, ladies, gentlemen, and unicorns. Hello Jerzy, thank you so much for dropping by. I'm currently trying to debug my own code. Well, it's not so much debugging. I'm the only person who here Phil's voice while reading it. Oh, you're hearing my voice when you read something? This is weird. And I'm sorry if I said, okay, good again. Oh my, I just said it. I'm sorry. Okay, so what do I want? Okay, I want the tile neighbors is the array board neighbor. Tile neighbor. Okay, so this is the ID of the neighbor. Now I hear you while reading your opening line. Oh, this is nice. Thank you so much. Where was I? I'm so easily distracted. I shouldn't be doing this live. Okay, back to what I want to do. What do I actually want to do? I want to store the tile neighbors equals this board array neighbor. Okay, good. So this is the tile that I want to say, hey, ds list add. So the list is what was it? Clues list. Am I right there? So clues list, yes, exactly. And for this clues list, other workspace there, I add ds list add, and the value that I add is the ID of this instance. Okay, this works. I think. Let's add this to all the other neighbors, and now each tile should know which are its clues that it is part of. There's no more than 2 clues essentially. So when I'm running this, it should look exactly as before without errors. Good. Okay, so I can click things open and there are no errors, which is good. So when you click something open and essentially harvest what was there, when you do the auto update, where am I? This is the board. Okay, so when it's a resource and it's clicked open, so if do open, when you open something, and right, we open something, and I mean, we could also put this somewhere in the other if statement, but I don't care if opening is allowed or something. If we try to open something, oh my god, I should say do open equals false, because now it runs every time. I'm surprised that this worked actually. Oh, of course, do open equals false, so I don't need to do this each time. Okay, this is why it worked. Okay, if auto update clue, then we go through the list, ds list. Is there a way to, for each object in the list or something? let me just check again in the Game Maker reference, because I'm not quite sure yet. Okay, ds lists, much like an array, ds lists access source, ds list create empty, add, delete, find, index, replace, shuffle, sort, copy, read, write. Yeah. ds. Okay, apparently I just have to go through the list. ds list set, ds list size. I have to work it like an array, but at least I don't get any out of bounds arrays errors. Okay, let's do this. For var I equals 0, I is less than ds list size. ds list length, was it length? It was size, right? ds list size. Clues list I++. And now we just say, hey, update all your neighbors. And we did this neighbor update. Okay, we did update, or we told each tile who its neighbors were, not from the tile itself, but here when we created it. So this is bad. So essentially we need to recreate this again, or we need to move this code here into the tile. My god, this is opened up a lot of problems for us now. So essentially, yeah, I need to move this over from the board to the tile, and I just say to the tile, hey, look at who your neighbors are and index them yourself. But it shouldn't be too much of a problem, because we can access the array in the board control from each tile. Yeah, let's do this. Okay, so when we create a tile and it is a clue, we just say find neighbors. Or you know what? Since we need to run this every frame, we can say if do update neighbors, or do update clue. Yeah, this makes sense. And then do update clue equals false, because we only run this once. So, and this is here where my flags are. Do init, do debug, do update clue is, well, in the beginning it's true. So if it's a clue, if type is of tile type clue, only then of course we want to update the clues, and there we find its neighbors. And Tutvari is also here. Thank you for dropping by, Tutvari. Glad that you could make it. Right, so where was I? So once we update the clue, we look at all its neighbors and do the counting again. So I don't need to find out who the neighbors are. Sorry, I was being stupid. I don't need to find out who the neighbors are. We already know who the neighbors are. All we need to do is recount the neighbors, what's found in the neighbors. So where am I? Is this the board control? I'm sorry, I was in the wrong object. So here we are in the object tile. And here we just do not find neighbors, but where is this fourth thing going on here? Good. So we don't want to find the neighbors, we just say count occupants in neighbors. And because we need to do this more often than once, I just put it in an if statement. If update clue, do update clue, then we do this here, and do update clue equals false. And yeah, this updates our clue. And because we need to do this multiple times, or not just when it's something gets initialized, I just say, to be sure, to do update clue equals true, not do open, do update clue equals true, and then I know that it will be ran later on. So if do update clue, I just plop it here. And so when we do something here, do auto update clue. And for all its neighbors, we just get ds list find value of this list at position I. Let's say just clue is this. Then we just say clue do update clue. And this should be it. Auto update clue. Of course, in the end, when we're done with it, we say auto update clue is false. So, and we only need to update clue, of course, if it has an occupant and if it is not already opened. Because if something was already opened, then of course we don't need to count it. So, if or neighbors, okay, if n is open equals true. Well, if it's open, then we just say continue, because we don't need to switch on something, we just continue in the loop. Okay, so let's see if this was correct. Okay, when I open something, I get this here, do update clue not set before reading it, line 123. Okay, apparently I'm using a variable that I haven't initialized. Do update clue. Of course, yeah, I'm using it like a function. Clue do update clue equals true. This is. It's not a script, it's not a function. It's just a flag. So it should update here, but it doesn't happen. Why does it not happen? When I update something, auto update clue, if auto update clue, because I say auto update clue is false, so I don't. If do open, if auto update clue is true. Okay, this is good. Mouse is hover, I'm not using it. Okay. Okay, when we say do open, sorry, I have to retrace my steps here, but it's going to be worth it. It's going to be cool. So switch occupant, and if the auto update, then clue do update clue equals true. And if it's a clue, do update clue equals true, then we do this thing again here. So bomb count equals 0. We go through all the neighbors of this clue, and if occupant is open. Maybe that's the problem. You know what? I will also count the ones that are opened. Maybe that's the problem. Or maybe that was the problem. Let's say if is not open. Maybe I made a. Maybe I'm thinking things wrong here. Or I'm having a weird kind of other thing that I did wrong. I'm not quite sure how to verbalize it. So essentially what should happen is when I click something open here, let's say a blue bomb or an orange treasure, and once it's opened, the clue itself should update and of course say -1 bomb and -1 treasure. And in this case is if n is open, so n means one of the neighbors of this clue. If it's already opened, then it should not be counted. Otherwise, it should look at its occupant, and if its occupant is a bomb, then it should update the bomb. You know what? Let's say just -. I'm just trying to see if something there is happening, and I think it works because if it's less, or I'm just looking for something to change here. Auto update. Does this even run? Let's see. Show debug message. The good old debug message. I mean, you could also use a stop debug breakpoint there, but I'm just using there a good old printf. I want to see their exclamation points when I do something. Yeah, and look at this. There it is, my exclamation point. when I click here something open. So good, it's good to know that this code here actually runs. So how about this for loop here? Does this one run? And just say I. Just print out I when I click something open. Let's do this, and it does. Only once. Here, there it should twice. You know what? Instead of just I want it to print the value twice. So it should print 0 if it's only got one neighbor or one clue, and it should print 1, 0 and 1 if it got 2. So 0, 0, this is good. And now it should print 0, 1. 0, 1, this is good. Okay, so at least this is working. What is not working? Yeah, game over. What is not working is this update here of the clues. And why? So maybe it's in the draw event. Maybe there is something wrong. So if it's open, if it's an occupant, if it's a clue, if the bomb count is greater than 0, then draw the, if it's a treasure count greater than 0. Okay. Cursipoo says, it works. Yes, kinda. It kinda works. If auto update clues, or at least we know that this thing here runs. And we want the value in this list at I. You know what? Print me out. Print me the instance name of this value. It should read something like 10,000,001. So, aha, okay. I think what the problem is, you can see that no matter what I click, it always prints out this thing here. And what is this thing? This is the instance ID of the same instance, and not of each clue, but of the same instance. And why is it the same instance? Probably because the wrong thing is writing its ID into this list. Good to know, and probably this happens here somewhere. But I don't know, it must be in the board ID, because I think the board control itself writes its own value there, and not DS list add. Genau, exactly. This is the ID, always not of the tile itself, but of the ID of the board control, and now it should work. So it's the tile ID. So this is the instance ID of the tile object, of the instantiated object. And now it should work. Now it should work. Knocking on wood. Oh, ouch. Okay, let's observe this one here. Or let's say 5 and 1. I click something and it's 4 and 1. And the 1 is gone. It works. Haha, it works. This is good. This is helpful. Debug message. You save us again. As always. As always. This is good. So we got here 5 bombs, so I'm not touching those. We got 3 bombs, probably 1 among them. And 3 bombs, probably 2 of those here. So there must be 1 bomb and 1 treasure. This was the treasure, this must be the bomb. Okay, good. So how about here? Probably those 3. I mean, since this one here got only 4 treasures and not a single bomb, those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those must be all the bombs. So I can pick this one clean here and know that those for sure are the bombs. And there is just still 1 treasure hidden and 2 bombs. There is 1 bomb. You know what? I'm just risking it. Good. Okay, so I'm not clicking any of those open. So there is still 1 treasure and 2 bombs hidden. 1 treasure and 3 treasures. So maybe here. I mean, the chance, since there is an overlap, I think this must be a treasure. Good. Yeah, I mean, this one of those must be the bomb, but yeah, you know what? Okay, so this was the bomb. Okay, good to know, but still got 4 HP. So 2 treasures among its neighbors. You know what? I will change it. That when you hover over something, it will change also the overlay color. among its neighbors, so that you always know when you hover over the clue that you know what kind of neighbors are affected. So, and to do this, I go into the tile and add a flag and say parent is hovered. Parent or clue is hovered equals false. And when it's a clue, we're in the tile here, when it's a clue, when type is clue, and you know what, I can move this if type is clue underneath, because if mouse is hovering, good, so then if mouse hover false, because mouse hover is true, and down here if do update clue, okay, but I can also say if mouse is mouse hover, and then I say is hovered, clue is hovered, clue is hovered, clue is hovered equals true. No, it's false here and it's true inside. So, and when a clue is hovered, when, okay, if do open, so this is right, if it's of type clue, then if it's of type tile type resource, that's what we called the other fields, and then again we just go through the list of all its clues and check if its parent is being hovered. I mean, this is not very conservative because I'm doing this for all the tiles all the time, but it should work. So clue, if clue is hovered, clue is hovered, then we say also is hovered, or do highlight or something. Let's say we call it do highlight. Do highlight false. And the highlight color, we just say color highlight equals C yellow. If clue is hovered, do update. No, you know what? We could do this in the draw event. No, do highlight is true, or else do highlight equals false. And you know what? Since we know if one clue is hovered, then we can actually break out of it. Do highlight and break, because then we don't need to look at the other clues. And if we're in the draw event and we say, okay, it's a clue and there is flagged, then the color of flag, I don't want to change this. I mean, this is pretty bad code right now, but again, it's just for prototyping, so the order at when I change the color is important. So if is highlighted, or what did I call it? Is hovered, is, I forgot. Do highlight. That's what I want to do. Do highlight. If do highlight color equals color highlight. Not hidden. Color highlight. Okay. Whew, let's see if this works actually. Yes, it works. It works. This is nice. So when you hover over a clue, it updates which resources are affected. So here in the case 1, 2, 3, 4, this is good. I mean, you can hardly read the T's now, right? Maybe I should make those bigger. Let's make those bigger. So font debug small, just say font debug. This is the big debug font, so this should work. Mr. Julius said before, debug message, you crazy son of a bee, you did it. Okay, so there, I think we can try this now. This is good. I mean, managed to get everything done that I wanted and then some, at least for today. So another thing is, do we want to highlight which tile the mouse is currently hovering over? And do we want to highlight it this harshly what is being affected? I mean, once it's open, it also makes sense, but yeah, I mean, it's the yellow is pretty harsh. That's what I mean. What about also highlighting the clues of a resource? So when you hit a resource, it highlights the clues that are affected by it. When you're here, it hovers which clues. Do you mean this? We could try this. So it goes both ways. Okay, how to do this? Right, I'm here in the tile. Then clues list, the list of the clues. Okay. Do highlight, clue is hovered and resource is hovered. This is not good code. I can probably optimize this, but yeah, I mean, again, this is two completely different types of tiles that I'm using in the same object. Resource is hovered. So if tile type is resource, if do open. So where are we getting our mouse? If mouse to hover. Okay, if place meeting, and this is if mouse is hovered, true. If tile type is clue, okay, maybe do this here. If mouse is hover, then we also go here through the list. And maybe I could also do this in a script where I can just call one function, say for all clues, please do this. So var clue equals this, and if, or you know what, we don't need to do this actually in the tile object itself. We could do this, yeah, if mouse is hover. All we need to say, if mouse is hover, resource is hovered equals true. Otherwise, always we just say false. Good. And when we are in the clue, and if the tile type is clue, if do update clue, if clue is hovered. First we step through all clues neighbors. For I equals 0, I is less than array length of neighbors, I plus plus. If, let's call this R equals neighbors I. If I is a resource is hovered, then highlight, or what did I call it? I mean, right now I had it here. If it's a clue, bomb country, if mouse is hover, I had it here on top. Do highlight. This was what I called it. Do highlight equals true. And before that we say do highlight equals false. So I hope that this works. No. Line 111. If I, of course, yeah, it's not I, it's R. And then of course we can just break. It does not work, does it? So if tile type is resource and mouse is hover, resource is hovered equals true. So when does mouse hover? Is mouse hover? If there is a place meeting and a position meeting, is mouse hover equals true. Okay, so this is good. This seems to work. Do highlight is false. This is when we're in a clue. Mouse is hover, clue is hovered is true. And here resource is hovered is true. And the clue looks at for all the neighbors, and neighbors equals I, and if our resource is hovered, do the highlight true. And well, this makes sense. I need to clue is hovered also set to false up here. Okay, it still doesn't work, but at least it doesn't crash anymore. Right. So don't worry about, I bet you will fall into trap of polishing sooner or later, so don't worry about how the code looks like, says Mr. Julius. And this is true. This is true, but at least I need to have the code as tidy, at least so that I know what's going on. I can make sense of it. I mean, I'm almost there, So do highlight equals true. I think it has to do here with the draw event. If do highlight, then color is highlight, but if is flagged, so resource, draw it here with the color. Okay, so this makes sense somewhat. I don't quite get it. So again, if is of type resource, right? And you hover the mouse, then resource is hovered equals true. Otherwise, this will always be false. And we do the highlight when one of the clues is hovered. I'm just comparing this code with here. Array length neighbors, I++. We get a neighbor. Right, and if the resource is hovered equals true, do the You know what? I will try to, again, good old show debug message. And I say R, please show me what the resource ID is, the tile ID. So apparently it does not update when I'm hovering over it. But why? Or is this only here? If type is clue, but resource is hovered. If mouse is hover, does the mouse place meeting mouse? Okay. If do open is false. If mouse is hover, again, I'm really sorry. Is mouse hover? Mouse is hover is false. Mouse is hover is false. Place meeting, right? Is mouse hover equals true. Then we check if there is a button pressed. And when we're hovering, mouse is hover and is mouse hover. There we go, is mouse hover. I think that was the problem. Yeah, look at this. Now it works. Now it works. So when you're moving over a clue, you see which resource. When you're hovering over a resource, see what clue is affected, and when we're hovering over a clue, we see which resources are affected. My God, looks like I made it. Hey, I think I can call it a night already because my dear wife wrote me that she's already going to bed and I want to see her today, at least. But yeah, thank you so much for dropping by and for helping me figure out myself how I want to do things. I think this is something that is workable. I mean, the goal is to have all the tiles open that are treasures. And I think, yeah, just open all the treasures, right? Could this be something that makes sense? I mean, right now that I know that this is working, maybe I can try out different configurations where maybe the clues are next to each other sometimes, so that you get sometimes weird clues, or where you can set a clue yourself where you think, I'm not quite sure about this, I want a clue there. Maybe I can work on this, but yeah, this probably demands a lot more work then. But yeah, again, thank you so much for joining me in this wild ride, and I'm very happy with how things turned out. Hey, I got something that even compiles at the end of a stream, so that's quite something. And yeah, by the way, would this be something that you would like to play, or does this sound interesting to you, or could it get boring soon? after. Mr. Julius says, good because I'm already falling asleep. Oh my god, thanks for next Sunday with great content. Yeah, I hope there will be great content on the next Sunday. And Evans Kizuri says, nice stream, hope to see more. Yeah, I hope so too. And again, thank you for joining me on this weird endeavor of making a puzzle game without knowing where to go with it. So with that being said, thank you for all your attention and for still 10 viewers. My god, so many. It's almost more viewers next time than I have fingers if I get wild with a bread knife again. Anyway, thank you so much for dropping by, and I hope to see you or some of you next Sunday. And as always, I'm active on Twitter. It's at Pixel Prophecy if you want to see updates there. I don't know how to do promotion stuff, but and be sure to drop by next time as soon as I start the stream, because there will be again this little fun little quiz running. Again, until then, let me just find the right button. I thank you so much. Really, I really appreciate it that you devote some of your time on your Sunday to watch me program. So have a great week and see you next Sunday.